Welcome, everybody. I'm delighted to be here with you all today, starting our chat with Jordi to talk about his book called Book Therapy. We'll be discussing not only his book, but also the importance of books, the power of publishing, and the responsibility of publishers. So, Jordi is a distinguished publisher, editor, and founder at Plataforma Editorial in Barcelona, regular writer for the national Spanish newspaper, La Vanguardia, and author of Book Therapy. Jordi is an evangelist for the book as promoter of mental and physical health, as well as an enhancer of people's personal and business life. Book Therapy is an extremely diverse and intriguing collection of stories that have provided Nadal with lessons in life and living in times of difficult and stress, and living in times of difficulty and stress. Welcome, Jordi. I'm very pleased to have you here today. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hello, Karin. It's a pleasure to be in front of you. Thank you for this very kind and generous introduction. I am trying to measure up with a challenge to be that good as your introduction. But I know that if anything good comes from this talk, is because I'm speaking on behalf of the great authors I've been reading all my life. So actually, for those who are readers, needless to say, also for those who are publishers, who are most often in best company, we have a sort of physical, mental, and spiritual bodyguards who are the authors that we have read and loved. We are never alone, not completely.
Yeah, as you said in your book, reading good literature is to enjoy something healthy, something wise, something profound, and something beautiful, something true. Reading well is taking care of your health. Well, let's begin with the purpose of your book, Book Therapy, Jordi. What led you to create this project?
In June 2017, the Human Resources General Manager of a giant bank in Spain, CaixaBank, Mr. Xavier Coll, said to me after a first meeting and talk, a good talk, he said to me at the end, well, look, among the people who are managers, you seem to have read a lot. And among those who have readers, you seem to be a good manager. Why don't you prepare a training course for my middle management and top management using literature, commercial literature, normal literature, not business literature, as a good tool to be a better manager. And I thought this was a great spark of a good idea, a challenge actually. So this summer, I took some of the books which I've read, which I like a lot, which I like most. Some of them, most of them have been underlined all these years as a reader. And I gathered together the first meeting of 12 authors and what these authors mean to me and how these authors has helped me in life. Later on, I enhanced these 12 authors with 12 more. And this last year, we summed up 9 authors, all in all 33. These 33 authors are a personal choice, a very humble canon of all the authors and texts that has helped me to learn, to thrive, to be open, to be deeper, to enjoy more life. I used to say that, I started to make a short notice of every book which I've read after I was 17. And in these 42 years, now I'm 59, I have almost like 2,000 authors read. Most of them underline if they are good. 500 of them are good reads. 300 of them is approaching to heaven. 200 of them is the gates of heaven. 100 of them is the living room of heaven. 50 of them is the sofa in the living room of heaven. And this 33 is the sofa and the spot close to the fire in winter, in the sofa in the living room of heaven. 33 authors who give me much more than pleasure. They give me bearings in life. They give me depth. They give me the joy and the wish to live, and the joy and wish to share. So I'm sharing those people who are part of my personal heaven.
Oh, that's amazing. So it was not difficult to have 33 authors, as you mentioned. It was okay. So
It was like opening the door and inviting the folks to enter. And then Elias Kennedy and Chekhov and Elena Ferrante and Natalia Ginzburg and Albert Camus and Selma Lagerlöf entered. And we were somehow talking, maybe silently, but we were talking. They were anyway. In any case, for sure, they were talking to me. And I realized that they were not only talking to me, they have been talking to other people. And some of these other people, I have met them. So all these books read are like a password. And somebody said that the best and shortest and safest itinerary between 2 points. Some people said it's a poem. Some others said it's a friend. Maybe it's a poem. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a good book. But a good book is a shortcut between two very essential points in life, quite often.
mhm. You talk, as you said, you talk very often about gratitude or about how reading unites people and bring us together instead of creating the opposite values as jealousy, separation. Can you talk a little bit more on this? I like when you talk about this.
Oh, listen, gee, of course. Look, we are all in publishing world, no? And it's a
Yeah.
very mature segment, and the competition is harsh sometimes. Sometimes it's very harsh. But when my pals, when my colleagues, when my competitors publish a great book, instead of feeling cranky, grouching, or envy, I feel gratitude and I feel admiration. I feel admiration for those colleagues who are competitors, and we might be fighting for place in the tables of the best bookshops. But when they publish a great book, I can only be happy and thankful because they give me this book, this author gives me much more than the place which my book is not having at that moment in this table. It gives me always more than what it takes away. I feel gratitude and admiration for a good catalog. And that's the reason because I try to be the best possible publisher and even something more important, such a good reader as I can.
Yeah, you're right. It's good to see others succeeding as well, and mainly the industry, right? It's good to see good books every day being launched and being in the bookshops. It's a good sentiment. I agree with it. And how do you feel that reading shaped our way, the way we behave in our social life, in our business life?
Well, if reality is made out of words, the person who masters words masters somehow reality or masters better reality, as the steel is commanding somehow the reality, understands better the world. If Wittgenstein said that the limits of our language are the limits of our world, those who have a bigger, a broader world have more world. And if you have more world, if you have more words, if you have more ways of approaching reality, you understand things better and you are deeper and you are enjoying better. It's something like, and sometimes it is black and white, but we in publishing know the Pantone. The Pantone has 1,114 tons. So reality at least has 1,114 colors. And at least we should read in a whole life 1,114 books, because then we could have at least one color, one book matching for every reality. We would be understanding better other people if we would be able to understand better other opinions, other ideas. We all know this thing that we all have to listen about the Eskimos who have several words for the several kinds of snow. Okay, well, then let's be like an Eskimo in life. I think they have 8 words for the kind of a snow. Why don't having 1,114 thin strings to better understand that sometimes people feelings, thoughts, and ideas are a little bit more subtle than black and white. Lately, what is a fanatic? But a person who doesn't want to change either the subject nor the opinion. Whereas a reader who knows more colors than two, at least is one capable of doubting, which is gorgeous, capable of responding. In life, people tend to plan, but it's much more interesting to respond than to plan, because you plan many things in life, but then reality turns out to be tough. Responding is better. Reading is training you to better respond, to have better solutions, better answers. And if not, at least reading gives you better questions. And I love people who has good questions.
Yeah, at least better ways of thinking, right? And thinking about possibilities as well. So it's really important that. Well, you said to me previously that to read is to introduce poetry and epic into our daily lives, right? How important do you think this is, and especially now, these days, or do you think that it has always been important? Only now, or it has always been?
Of course, now simply like through COVID, the crisis has managed to put us under stress. And for everybody who understands how does it work, the washing machine, when it spins, to take the water off, when it spins, what's soft becomes softer. A crisis makes soft people softer, courageous people more courageous, clever people more clever, dumb people, silly people, lazy people are lazier. There is less space for the mediocrity. Now, when the challenge is bigger, we need more strength. And yes, reading prepares us better for life. For the following, Albert Camus, who is eventually the author I love more to read, if I would be able only to say one name. He said once that we have to achieve that the poet approaches the industrial man and the industrial man to the poet. You cannot grasp and understand and enjoy fully life without the sense of beauty. And poetry belongs to this. Maybe some people say, I don't read poetry, but at least they have to have a sense for beauty. The same way that good mothers and fathers educate our taste when we're kids to better enjoy food. And the education of our taste is important to have a person who is not only eating, but enjoys better the food through the education of the taste. We have to educate also our thoughts and ideas, and reading does so perfectly. And then the epic is also important because what would be of us if any time when there is a big challenge, we don't go out with a sense of beauty and courage and the need to become a better person, and we go to the challenge with good spirits, knowing you can fail or win, but entering, be it the Frankfurt Fairgrounds, when we enter the Frankfurt Fairgrounds again, the book fair, or whatever, with the same good spirits of the Knights of King Arthur. They met once a year in Easter, in a dinner, and they explain, or in the lunch, in the Pentecostes Eve or day, they explain about their adventures. So we have to meet at least once a year. And meanwhile, the other 364 days, be living life with the full conscious of the epic of life, and working and walking with the spirits of someone who is aspiring for the better. For aspiring for the better is like Cyrano de Bergerac said Well, I all recall this sentence in Spanish by heart. I don't know. In English, I'll try, but something like, what do you say? That the one who is achieving for glory may not achieve this? Well, if there is no hope for triumph, there is triumph for the glory. In Spanish, for those who understand Spanish, he said in the sentence, ¿qué decís? Que la victoria quien la ansía no la alcanza. Si no hay de triunfo esperanza, hay esperanza de gloria. End of the quote. So, my friends, if you listen to this, search in English, in German, in French, or in whatever language, this thought of Jean Rostand about the glory, the triumph, and the hope, which can be a great motto for life.
Inspiring. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit of social duty of the publishers. So you described it at some point as making sure people do not miss out on the good room in the castle.
Imagine that you do a travel to France and you go to Versailles, and then you exit the bus or the car, buy the ticket, enter the palace, and stay only in one room. What a missing perspective. Mm-hmm. Living in Versailles and being only in one room. Reading is like having the master key of a giant, infinite palace with infinite rooms. But reading is the master key. You can enter any possible room because you are fully equipped with curiosity, with being open, with the joy of recognizing the greatness of the human being and our vulnerability. The Sufis have a saying which says, it's through the blessing or the wound where it enters the light. And reading is being open to better understand our fragility, and therefore we are stronger. The social commitment and role of a publisher is linked to this too, because I think every modern and progressive society is a society where the two most important jobs is being a teacher and a doctor. In the widest possible sense, it can be teacher or professor or whatsoever. We publishers are not teachers, we publishers are not doctors, but if you would take these two positions, these two jobs, these two very nice vocations, and you would rub them, there would be a dust. It would be from this dust the seeds of a publisher. A publisher is a person who has a giant feeling of curiosity, a great capability to filter, and a loving passion to share whatever it takes, and do with passion whatever it takes to share this content. Now, because all we have cell phones, but before the cell phones, I used to say that when you were a publisher and you found a treasure, you were searching immediately a telephone box to call your friends, known friends, or unknown friends, to explain, look at what I found here, the manuscript of this author. Same happens with authors who have been published anyway. That's the reason, because we share so passionately books that we like. So publishers, not only universities, not only schools, publishers, by taking choices, shape very modestly, but we shape society. We're not changing the world, but we might change the world of a couple of hundreds of people, which would be already a great job. Being a publisher is trying to shape reality for better, and that's the reason, because being publisher has beauty. I think that the internet is like, we all have seen the movie The Impossible, no, about this tsunami in Indonesia, being made by the Spanish filmmaker Amenabar. You all remember the giant wave and the destruction which the wave produces, the tsunami, and then afterwards everything is destroyed, and we are surrounded by way too many water, but it's not healthy. And what we need, that's the internet. Way too many water, but not so healthy, many of them. What we need, and what publishers do, is this: filtered bottled water. filtering water. So publishing is filtering water, and we can drink of this water. We are filtering because way too many information is nothing. We are filtering, and filtering is the more and more interesting and more necessary. So we are modestly, but we are shaping taste.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about, you told me before that the royalties for book therapy are going to a charity program called Give a Book, right?
Yes. Richard Charkin from Mensch Publishing was asking me who would be willing to do this, and I couldn't imagine a better destination for these funds than giving to this charity. Give a book. You can find them at giveabook.org. They do a wonderful job helping people who are in prisons and other people in need. And it's also beautiful to think that sometimes the energy of the money could be small step to help people who are in prison. But if you can read, you can dream about freedom. And Mandela was long in a prison, and he was a reader. He was an example in so many fields. So you can be in prison, but being free in your mind. And reading gives you a better equipment to have a free way of thinking.
You'll be giving the key of the good room in the castle to these kids, to these prisoners, and to these people who are receiving the book, right?
Yes, it's a gorgeous feeling to think that sometimes we decide to try to do small little things which could maybe be the scent of some compassion and recognition of others' dignity and identity by doing something to unknown people, but that knowing that you think about them. We have to be very humble, but at the same time, we have to be joyful and trying to measure up with the challenge of life. I think that Immanuel Kant said that things, objects, have a price, but people have dignity. And I love this feeling. This thought is very rewarding. I think that books and writers and readers and all the people in the book world, in the book chain, greet and take care of human dignity. And this gives me tons of very powerful energy. Viktor Frankl said that on the contrary of any source of energy, oil energy or whatever, Viktor Frankl said that on the contrary, that any sort of energy, meaning is an unendless form of energy. So we have to fight, we have to defend, we have to take care of meaning in life. And this is a time where feeling and fulfilling and following a meaningful life is more important than ever before. So Viktor Frankl for president in any country. In many countries, we are not, I don't know who will be listening to us, but in many countries, they need Viktor Frankl for president. In many countries, it will be much better than the presidents that might be there.
Great. So you have already mentioned a couple of authors on this 33 list. And this, as you said before, this project has grown up from 12 to 33 authors.
That's it.
Is there anyone in particular that has had the most significant impact on you?
Albert Camus, as I said, because his unfinished novel, Le Premier Homme, First Man, it couldn't be more perfect, even if being unfinished. Albert Camus is essential to me. But also Chekhov, Anton Chekhov, of course. But look, to say an author of this century, Elena Ferrante, and again of this century, like Camus, Elena Ferrante, Jesus. When I read the 4 novels by Elena Ferrante, I've been living in Neapel for 40 years, being the witness of the friendship of 2 women in the world. I was in awe. I was speechless. I was in love with this situation. I was living a life much stronger than my life, no matter of how wonderful my life might be or is. But Jesus, reading Chekhov or Elena Ferrante or Natalia Ginsburg or Albert Camus or Marc Aurel, the emperor, the Stoican emperor, well, we are now all a little bit depressed because of COVID, some of us. But Jesus, you can read these people and you feel like one of the knights of King Arthur. You have a full equipped armor.
You said in our previous conversation that books are extra oxygen to our bodies, right?
Yeah, it's like you are trying to climb up the Everest and you're getting short of breath. And you get a book. And it's like taking oxygen, a mask. You're recovering oxygen in your blood. And even more, you're in love and you read James Salter, the way he describes love. Described from the point of view of a man, a woman, and you are blessed. So living sometimes can be tough. And it's like, I imagine what would do I if I would be a pilot of an airplane trying to launch or depart from an airport at night on a foggy day, a complicated airport, strong foggy day or night, day and at night. Reading are like these bulbs in the lanes, right and left, with light, showing the pilot how is the right and left in the lane and making it safer to land or depart. My life would be much more complicated without books as my bodyguards, as my companions, as my treasure of confidence. I cannot imagine a life without books, because then I would be much lonelier. It would be an airport without lights, right and left. I might be landing, but it might be a very complicated landing or a sort of a small or big crash. So it's good for flying in life, flying high, and landing safely, being a reader.
Now talking about love or this type of feeling, do you think that reading has the power to save lives in some way? Perhaps you can, Jordi, you told me about a story of a friend of yours that I thought it was compelling. Share it with us.
With Libroterapia, which is the title of my book in Spanish, Book Therapy, happened wonderful things, many. But 2 are outstanding. One was one email I got from Mexico DF. They have had one of the earthquakes they have every now and then, unluckily. And he gave me the permission to say his name. Omar Santiago from Mexico City DF said, I'm reading your book, Libroterapia, in the middle of the anguish after an earthquake. And your book gives me the balance to recover my inside, my soul balance. Thanks for this. And then I got another very compelling, very moving email, also with his permission to share it. Javier from Murcia in south of Spain wrote me out of the blue my email from my website, from my company, saying, hello, my name is Javier. My wife is in the intensive care station. She got a liver transplantation. We don't know if she's going to make it. We listened to you talking about your book in radio. You told so passionately about Albert Camus. Then we both decided that we will buy one book by Albert Camus and your book, Book Therapy. And we both now in the intensive care unit, not knowing if she's going to make it. She was reading Albert Camus, I think. He was reading my book. And after she was reading Albert Camus, she survived and we became friends. But I have to confess still today, I couldn't imagine one day that I would write this book. But I wouldn't have a clue, not even after publishing this, that I would get one email saying your book appeases my anxiety after an earthquake in Mexico, and another email saying I am here in the intensive care unit. I don't know if my wife is going to survive, but we are reading both a book, two different books, not knowing if life, at the threshold between life and death, people only talk serious things. And I was very moved, and we became friends. And I send them books as a gift quite often, and they send me wine as a gift quite often, and we celebrate this, and life followed, and it's a miracle. It's like in Shakespeare in Love. One actor was stuttering, and all of a sudden they needed an actor, and he began to speak smoothly, and he said, miracles happen. So round books, miracles happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I think that you think as well, but each person has a different and personal reaction to stories or to books. What do you think that we gain or discover by sharing our experiences of reading? That's what you're doing. You're sharing your experience.
There cannot be a real talk, a real conversation, if you are not unveiling what you are, who you are. And a talk without truth is the small talk. A talk with the truth of books, being book-based or not. But books contain truth because when they are printed, the author is not any longer controlling what's going to happen. Then we take the lead, and it changes us, or it gives us the chance to speak more frankly, to speak out the truth, to be more daring, to be more courageous, to be understanding. When I read Maya Angelou, she's not in book therapy, but she could have been. I better understand racism, what means racism. When I read Primo Levi or Elie Wiesel, Jesus, I mean, if you read Primo Levi or Elie Wiesel, you understand what the Shoah meant, the Holocaust meant. You understand better how do people react in front of suffering, and so on and so forth. When you read a book, when you read Fitzgerald, Francis Scott Fitzgerald, he could understand about love and success and failure better than many other people. In this very, very speedy world, books are like, if you really take mindfulness, you slow down your pace, your breathing starts to better oxygen your brain, and you better understand other positions, thoughts, and ideas. And in these nuances, there is a sort of sacred and sort of public joy that it's there. You only have to fetch this. So reading is like being a hunter. You go there into the wild and you'll find gorgeous things and landscapes.
Oh, this is so inspiring. And I do believe that these effects of reading, they can help us not only when we're adults. These can help us our entire life through our childhood and our mid ages. Do you agree with that?
Yes, of course. I mean, if you have a small accident home, you have a small first aid box, and you go and take care of your small little wound, and you try to cure and heal your little wound. If you have a fire, you get the fire extinguisher, okay? But sometimes the accidents and the wounds and the fires are in a metaphorical sense, and you don't have the first aid box or the fire extinguisher. But remembering what you have read unconsciously gives you the strategies and the strength to better deal with the challenge. Often, the essential things are things that do not need to be expressed, but somehow they might have been formulated in your life through words and experiences of your own or from others. If you have more experiences through reading, for example, but also from seeing good movies, to put another example, you are better equipped. Imagine that you split from your wife or your husband. If you have read many books, you understand better the situation. Imagine that somebody dies. If you have read C.S. Lewis, you are better equipped. It's not that there is a solution, but it gives you comfort. All doctors try to heal you, but sometimes there is no heal, there is no cure. But at least the best doctors, when they cannot heal you, they are comforting you and giving you company and shelter. Books give me good books, give me always company and trust and support and shelter. And the idea of living courageously, accepting the challenge, taking for granted that there are going to be wounds and there is no first aid box, but you need to recover out of your own. If you have been a reader, you're better equipped and you can receive comfort and also one day offer comfort. Francois Mauriac said that everybody has the age of his or her suffering. I love this sentence. It's a cousin of the sentence by Saint Augustinus. It's not good to suffer, but it's good to have suffered. So suffering makes part of life. But suffering, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger and it makes you more human. And if you are more human, you are kinder. And we have to help one each other. That's the line of Oden. We must love one each other or perish. Those poets, they always knew in a sonnet, in 2 quartets and 2 tercets, in 14 lines, they always told us what many people needed 200 pages. The poets always have a secret.
They make us think about life. So we have been talking a lot, quite a lot. Jordi, is there anything that you would like to share with us that you haven't talked? Any
Yes.
special?
One anecdote and maybe reading 10 lines from this book by Virginia Woolf. One anecdote is related to Chekhov. In February 2012, My daughter Clara was some weeks old, and I was in Madrid, in el Hotel de las Letras, a hotel which in every room there is a quote by a writer, and also in every floor in front of the elevator. And I always went to this hotel. And this night I got a call from my wife telling me that my daughter Clara, at 8:30, something like this, was summoned to be on the very following day to be taking a small checking to see that she has not an illness. It was too late to take a flight or a train, and I got a full night of anguish in Madrid alone, with no other way of driving back from Madrid to Barcelona, 600 kilometers. And I was very anguished. But in this room, there was a text by Chekhov, and I read this text several times as if it would be a mantra. On the following day at 11, I got a call from my wife that the checking was okay and Clara was not ill. And I went on my knees. And in the room 505 in the Hotel de las Letras, I cried and I thanked God that she was not ill. But Chekhov was giving me shelter. And maybe if you want to, in order to finish this talk, there is a 10 lines text by Virginia Woolf, which I would like to read, to state what books mean to me, and which would be as it goes. I quote Virginia Woolf. I have sometimes dreamt, at least, that when the day of judgment dawns and the great conquerors and lawyers and statesmen come to receive their rewards, their crowns, their laurels, their names carved indelibly upon imperishable marble, the Almighty will turn to Peter and will say, not without a certain envy, when he sees us coming with our books under our arms, quote by God, look, these need no reward. We have nothing to give them here. They have loved reading. End of the quote. We don't know if there is a heaven, but a reading room is the embassy of heaven on earth. A reading room, a man or a woman, a young child reading a book, is having, in Spain there is these tapas, these small things to eat, which are the promise to a great first course and second course. Reading is a tapas of the heaven, is the indication that there is something bigger waiting for us always. So it's the master key of a hotel which is unendless.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Jordi. It was amazing to share these moments with you. Thank you very much. It is
my
pleasure to be here with you. I do really appreciate. Thank you so much.
If I would be a pilot, among the books I've read, there are many lights, but you will be in the tower of control saying, pilot Nadal, you can land now. Thank you for making me land so safely. And now we depart to somewhere else. Thank you, Karim. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.